Hey people, what's going on? I'm Broken Puppet, back with another video for today. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do a Leo lion. So it's going to be a Leo star sign, it's going to be something like this. It's going to be neo-traditional, it's going to be this kind of sort of tiger lion head. So yeah, it's going to be something like this. I'm going to do my best to kind of replicate this. It's my design. So here we go, so I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to create a few layers. This is your iPad Pro, and I'm using Procreate. It's a really good app, highly recommend it. But you can do it on paper, with pencils, markers, whatever you want. I'm going to be drawing everything with a sketching pencil on here, so it's going to be the same as drawing with a pencil, really. There's not going to be really too much difference between it, so it's very easy to follow along on paper. I'm going to click up here, I've got sketching, technical pencil with deep red. I'm going to be using this for everything, so like I said, very easy to follow on paper. So here we go, people. I'm going to start off with a circle, like this. So the idea is you're going to sort of try and build up the sort of rough sort of shape of it, so got this circle and I'm going to bring this curved line just coming up through the centre. So through the centre of it, but just slightly at an angle. Once we have that done, just towards this part here, I'll create this little circular shape just here. It's going to be kind of sort of ovalish, like this. And it's going to sit roughly in the centre, just a fraction more to this side than it is this side. In the middle of that, we've done this line here, just a tiny little line next to it. Have your triangle centered from that. So the idea is this bit kind of sits in front, so the angle is a little bit more, just a fraction to the side. Bring this little curved line just here. It's got to sort of tell you where the bottom part of that mouth is. This is going to curve up. I'm going to create another little loop just here on this bit, just curving around, just there. To the side of this, just here, with a circle, and then just create this eye line here, just kind of following that same sort of shape as what everything is going. And this other eye is going to sit roughly around here. So just a tiny bit more of a gap from this bit, you know, not too much. Just around there. And there we do. Just bring in two lines, just kind of point back to where we've done that sort of circle shape just there. Above these eyes. And then these two kind of oval short shapes. A bit of an angle, so they're kind of pointing inwards a little bit more. We will sort of shape these, but the idea is that little bit of eyebrow just above the eye. Bring a little curved line just here, following down that centre line we just done there. Another little loop just there. Again, another line just curving up, curving down. This one curving up, and curving down. Pretty much coming to the side of these oval shapes we just done. So for the eyes, it kind of comes to the edge of those. On the inside part here, I'm going to do this sort of curve shape. Do the same on this side, so I can have a curve shape just here. It's going to sort of bring out the cheeks. No, you're not going into too much detail, you just kind of build up the shape of it. And come down here, I'm going to create two more kind of curves, so one here, and one, following that circle shape to the outside of the eye. So it's all about kind of building up the shape of the face at this point. You know, that's all we're kind of really focusing on doing. You know, once we've got the shape, we can sort of turn transparency down, sort of rub a little bit out, and then start getting more detail. Now where you've got this curved line just here, I'm going to create another curved line just underneath, following that same shape. So these two shapes are going to be the same. Okay, very important. Unless you want the sort of teeth a little bit kind of angry, like say you're kind of snarling on one side, but his cheeks up a little bit, you want this the same. You know, this way the teeth are going to be in the same kind of location. So kind of side here, we're going to have sort of triangular shape. Same on this side, triangular shape. And in the middle, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teeth. So 6 circles just coming across. Fairly straight, but straighter than I've done there. And on the bottom, we're going to have them down here. So these two teeth are going to come out a bit of an angle. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just kind of fit in that gap. So it's kind of where the teeth are going to go. So that's it. It's all about kind of building up the shapes. Just here on the bottom of this chin, I'm going to create this circle. And this is going to create that chin. So just bring a little kind of V shape at the centre. So bring a little curved line down there. A little V shape just to kind of get a hint of where that's going to kind of go. Bring a little curve just coming off the side of that, just kind of bring up that jaw shape. I want us to have a nice kind of strong jaw. Come down from the bottom, I'm going to start bringing up his mane. So the idea is sort of just kind of building up shapes to kind of build up that sort of structure to the mane. So I'm going to start off with this bit, which is kind of bringing out that mouth, so I get a nice kind of curve around the mouth. And once we have that, you can start building it out. So I'm going to create these curves, coming outwards like so. Just kind of build out from here. You know, it's not going to be the exact shape, it's just kind of sort of get an idea of where everything is going to sit. Bring a line out from the eyes, so let's create this kind of sort of curve shape just here. And do these circles just here. one just here. Again, just bring this eye out. This one just here. It's going to be where the ears are going to go. I'm going to create these nice kind of sort of shapes just sitting on top to create that top part of the hair. I'm going to create a bit of a wave here, so this hair's going to kind of go this way. Now, you won't necessarily get that with a real lion. I'm making his hair a bit more kind of pretty than it probably would be. Not saying that a lion ain't got pretty hair, you know, a lion's mane is amazing. I'm just making it a bit more neat, a bit more kind of structured. So you can see, you've got a basic kind of structure building up for the face now, and this is very important, you know, without this sort of structure, you can't really do too much. Just going to bring that up, spit that back there. And at the bottom, just here, I'm going to create a circle. Now, if you draw a line coming down the center, coming straight, we want this little circle here, nice and straight. It's going to be kind of a Leo sign. And then come off sides of this, going to do two lines just curving around it. And just create some leaf shapes just off the side. So it's going to create this little kind of loop, so curve, 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 and get them roughly about even. Like I said, don't worry too much about detail at this stage, you know, we're going to make it more detailed as we go. You know, this is all kind of about the shape. And now we've got this shape, we can sort of start to work out where we're going to put details. Now, if you go in detail too quick, you're going to mess everything up, it's not going to look right. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to turn transparency down a touch. Just so it's a bit more kind of faint, so what we draw on top is going to be a bit more clearly. I'm going to put that layer down and put a layer on top. Very important, I want to draw over it, not underneath it. So now I'm going to zoom in and we can start doing detail. I'm going to start off with the nose. So you can see it's nice and super clear. So you've got this nose shape, just here, so you've got this line coming up here. So the triangle shape we kind of drew was kind of like this. I can make it a touch bit bigger, so we're going to create a little curve, come down to the center. This line curving down there. Just make those sides a little bit more kind of curvy than we sketched. Now what I'm going to do is bring this line up, and when I get to about here, I'm going to loop it around. So I'm going to make this sort of circle shape, like this. And I'm going to loop this edge coming out. I want to make this edge come out a little bit further than this bit. So it's a bit more of a kind of beefy kind of turn. Just makes his nose seem a bit more kind of powerful. And obviously being a lion, we want to make sure he does feel powerful, you know. We don't want a wimpy lion here, we want a nice, strong, powerful lion. So once we've got done, got this curve, it's going to come down to that center point from that corner, and just there. I'm going to create two little lines just curving around that nose, just one there, and one just there. A little bit of shadow in there, don't worry too much about that, we'll do the shadows as we go, but just so you can kind of see. So we've got a rough kind of nose in there now. And now we've got that, we're going to come down and start getting this cheeks bit coming down. I think we've got the oh, I know the name for it, I can't think. This part of the face. Like the muzzle, the kind of face, you know. I'm going to sound really stupid. It's probably something really simple, I know what it is. What's working up to me? Anyway, we're going to carry on. So, okay, this little line just kind of splitting underneath the nose. It's going to curve down, it's going to loop around. So we want a bit of shape to it. You know, because it's kind of sort of tight around the mouth. You know, don't a bit straight line because it kind of looks like he's not doing anything. You know, he's kind of giving a bit of a roar here, so we want a bit of sort of shape around the outside just to kind of tell that story. I'm going to curve this up. Again, make it kind of angular. So I'm going to come here, make a nice kind of sort of shape. You know, ride them perfectly smooth. You know, it's going to be sort of more neo-trad, so we can kind of play around with it. I'm going to create a secondary one, just coming in here. Third one's going to come up to here. Now, if you imagine this sort of line curving here, kind of pointing towards your eye, that's roughly where you want this line to be. Where we've done these lines, it comes up to that sort of bit. So I'm going to create this curve coming off here. Just create a little line there, line a little underneath. And again, this kind of feels like it's wrapping, so I create a little curve just down here. Bend this up. And start bringing that inwards. Next one, bring this up. Curve that down. This one up and bring it down just like so. So that's that part done, and as we saw that, we're going to start bridging up to this top part now, because the top part varies a fair bit. So I said, now that part's done here, we're going to start working on this top section just here. So I'm going to bring this up a little bit to begin with, because I want to get a bit of height to this, so it kind of feels like it kind of curves here and then kind of bumps around. So this one's going to curve up. That's going to curve down, bring that towards that tip of that nose. Again, you see I'm going to create a secondary one, just coming down there. And this side, I'm going to bring this up, get that in, then create another one kind of coming there. Bring that line across to kind of finish off that sort of shape. So you see you've got this nice kind of bump up section just here. Gonna get these little black bits just in here. I'm gonna get, say, 3 there. So make sure the outside one's bigger than the inside, so it gets smaller as it gets towards the inside. You can't make a perfect circle, but for neo-traditional, I kind of like making a little bit odd shaped. Just feel it kind of works. Just like so. We'll have whisker, so one's going to come there, one's there, one's there, one's there. I will have a little bit more detail on the whiskers as well. But for now, don't worry too much about that. One just down there. So you see, that's kind of like sort of tip of the nose. That's how that kind of looks. And that's going to come down. It's going to reinforce these teeth, and then we're going to go up to the eyes and stuff, and kind of go from there. And I think it's always good to kind of work from a kind of center area. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Get those teeth nice and even. I like to leave a little gap just here between the teeth, so I can get this little kind of gum edge. Don't know why, I just really like it. And then this bottom one, just going to create this curve around for this bottom lip. So I'm going to curve that line around there and create a secondary line, just to create that bottom lip, just like so. And that kind of gives the teeth a position to kind of sit inwards from. Create those teeth just there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to get a hint of a tongue, so I'm just going to put a little sort of circular shape just in here for now. We'll come down to detail more of that in a sec. But now we've got a donor come up and try to keep the evenness going. Before we do that, I might as well just put the outside part of this lip. So I'm going to curve this line here. It's going to wiggle outwards and come up there. This one's going to curve up just there. Just finish it to mouth shape so it links up. So we've got a nice kind of mouth in there. It's looking really cool how we want it to look. Now we've got that done and come up to the eyes. Start with the eye and get this kind of sort of perfect kind of sort of circle shape. Once we get this done, I'm going to create this curve around it. It's going to come up. I'm going to create this dip just here. I want this to kind of sort of feel like it kind of connects, so I'm going to bring this line down so it touches this bit. Bring the line down here a little bit further down from the eye because you want this fair bit of darkness around this eye. You know, so it looks like a tiger's eye, like a lion, well, like a tiger or a lion's eye. They both have a fair bit of black around it. You want to make that little drop so you're going to get a bit more black in there. Just bring that out a touch. Just so you get a fair bit of black on both sides, just like so. I'm going to create this little loop just on the inside part of the eye just here. Little pupil just there. And then just fading upwards. Dark towards the top. Just like that. Now we've got that done, I'm going to create this under part, so it's going to curve around. I'm going to follow that eye shape a little bit, and then as we get here, just kind of twist it and turn it. This sausage shape we've done here, we're now going to do this, but we're going to make it more shape, so we're going to curve up. I'm going to create this little dip kind of into it. Bring this up. Bring it down a touch, and again, just bring it out. Come down here. So you're just going to give it a much more kind of an interesting shape, rather than just being curved around. You know, shape is really, really important. You know, I can't stress it enough. It's always worth doing. So that's one eye done there. More shade off in that if you want. And come to the other side, you want to get it fairly even again, so you've got that sort of circle size, so I want to make sure you get rough sort of size again. Go there. Get that little shine. Pupil. Bit of shadow around it, but let's focus on the structure mostly. So I'm going to curve this up a little bit. Curve down, going towards the end of that sort of shape we've done here. Go back around, go a little bit lower than the eye like we've done before, so you get a bit of black in there, and curve this up. You might not get quite as much dip on this side because of the angle of the face. You know, if it's perfectly symmetric, you would, but it's not perfectly symmetric, so it's going to be a little bit different either side. You know, it's important to remember that if you're trying to create it to look even, when it's not an even angle, it's going to be really hard and probably not going to work. So same thing on the other side, I'm going to bring this line up, get this little dip, kind of peek it up a little touch, little dip in, curve around there. And I'm just going to create this little curve just coming up, like so. I don't always about this little detail, I love doing these on my lines. just reinforce this line here, you know, not too much to say about this one, but just kind of going over the sort of shape same we've done just there. And this line above just here, we're going to bring this up. And a bit similar, we're going to kind of mimic this shape a little bit, so we're going to come here, create a slight dip, bring this out, curve that down just there. Bring this up, curve this down, a little tiny dip, bring that out towards the outside part just there. So see the face is really coming together now, getting this really nice sort of structure going. This outside part here, we're going to create this around, and just mimicking the same shape we've done on the other side, so let's come down and curve it downwards. Now this area is going to be very light, these two can be very light compared to the rest. I want to make these appear like really kind of white, and a bit around it a bit darker. So now with that done, I've got this curve coming around here, so I'm going to bring this curve like this, just looping around. Cutting in here a little bit. Actually, I'm going to come back here a little bit. I'm going to make these little flick outs with the fur. So as it gets to the edge, you get a little flick. Same on this side now, so it's going to curve out. On this side, it's going to come out a touch bit wider, I want. And come down just maybe a tiny fraction longer. Just because obviously that, you know, the angle of the face, like I said, you know, certain bits appear a bit wider on certain parts. Just want to be a bit wider on that side. Now bring the eyes out, I want to bring this extra line just coming down here. This is going to curve down towards the outer line we've done there. I want the same thing on this side, so this line's going to curve out. Got a secondary line coming down. This one I might come have here, and I'm going to create this secondary line curving here. A bit similar on this side, I'm going to create a secondary line just curving around. Again, just to kind of sort of tell the shape of the face. I want the lines to really be important for this. You know, it's really got to tell the story of what the animal is. So once we've got that done, I'm going to come down here where we've got this chin. You know, start from this base and kind of work around it now because it's going to kind of go upwards. So I'm going to start off with this kind of flick shape. I'm flicking these lines, curving around, so I get outside to the side of that mouth, just like that. Again, just like that, to the side. And coming from here, I'm going to curve like this. And when I get here, I'm going to loop this around and just kind of cut inwards. And once I cut in, I can then do this shape here that we had. And that line kind of curving up there. And once I've got that done, I can create this curve down here for this part of the mane. And once we've got that, you can curve that around there. See, that's why I sort of started from the chin upwards. To really kind of help me get everything where we wanted it to be. Same on this side now, so I'm going to create these curves. This is going to kind of loop into that face. That's going to allow me to do this line. Just there. Which is then going to allow me to do that mane, which is then going to allow me to do that cheek. Like so. So it's all building up together really nice now. And now we're doing this, going to come over across, going to get these ears and this hair in here. So the ear's going to be here, there's going to be a little gap. So I want a nice bit of hair that's going to curve around in this space. Not go over too much of the ear, but enough where it's going to sort of like give me a nice shape where I can kind of sort of, you know, work off of it. So I basically want to get this kind of curve. So I'm going to create this curve coming here, and curve and kind of outwards. So it's going to loop down. So I want that kind of shape in this kind of area. I don't want it just one big chunk, so I'm going to start dividing this up. I'm going to get little lines kind of cutting through like this. So basically kind of dividing it up into little sections. Create a little bit of kind of branches off every now and again. So curve just here. See, like this. And now you've got this, you're going to go an anchor where you can kind of get this ear to connect up to this without worrying about this middle gap. You know, because you wouldn't see that on a proper line, and we don't want it to sort of be showing on this. So I'm going to bring this line up. And it's very sort of circular, but a tiny bit more kind of point in that corner. But don't lose that kind of circle shape to it. Create this curve. I'm going to flick these lines just curving in this way. I'm going to flick some lines curving the other way. Like so. Get this nice kind of like hair feeling in the ear, you know, so it's got these kind of nice fluffy ears. So that sits in there, and I like how that sits in there. It's got a nice vibe going on. Now we're going to create this curve coming out in here. Just going to flick up. That around. So we're now sort of trying to branch it out, so it sort of starts to build up a shape. I want it to come a little bit further than the ear, so I should do that one a little bit kind of behind the ear as well. And each time we do the shape, we're going to sort of then divide it up into little sections, and just every now and again just throw a little bit of hair just randomly off of it in a different direction. So I'm going to create this curve here. Curve coming there. A bit of a curve just coming off the back, just there. And then each one of these shapes we're just going to divide up into little sections, like so. So you see it's got like a nice way of kind of building up the layer of it. You know, I mean, it's neo-traditional, so that's what we want. We want to kind of like really get the sense of that nice kind of build up. So building off this bit at the back of the hair. And kind of give a general direction. Don't want to make it too random, like don't make everything just kind of like flow in the middle of nowhere. You know, kind of give it a sense of direction where each bit's going. You know, you don't want to kind of make a habit doing this sort of shape for neo-trad. You know, you want to make everything have a nice kind of flow to it. So if that kind of curves there, then this one's kind of follow that shape. It's going to come around there. You know, if this curves down here, it then repeats that sort of shape and curves down. So you want to get a nice sense of flow to it. You know, it's very, very important. Come up here now. Let's get these kind of circle shapes coming in here. Brushes up so you kind of get a bit of a nice peak to the top of the head. And then I'm going to bring this curve outwards. I want to create this nice kind of wave on this part of the hair. You know, I want it to get a nice kind of flow. It's kind of flicking out. You know, where it's a bit more of a kind of humanish kind of hairstyle, so it's got a nice kind of top to it. Just kind of makes it a bit more kind of appealing. So you've got this nice flow, this nice kind of curve. So it's all kind of following in this direction. Once that's done, we can come across to the other side now. So again, we're going to create this kind of loop around here. I want to give a basis for this ear to kind of sit in, so I'm going to bring these curves around here, sort of following this sort of shape. And then this bottom part here can kind of flick across and kind of create that. So you see, it's kind of create another anchor, so you can now position this ear right. So I'm going to get that shape just around there. Create these little flicks across that top part, and then rotate it and come the other way. Same with down the other ear. Those bottom flicks going the other way, just like so. You see? We're going to bring this curves come out like this, and again, kind of get this flow. So you can see, I want this kind of sort of shape coming down now, because as we're coming down the face, the hair's going to start curving down and around. So I'm going to create this nice big part of chunk of the mane coming down this way. So a nice big solid kind of sort of shape going that way. A few little overlaps curving this way, so it's kind of give a sense of the same direction. Maybe one is just kind of flowing out a little bit, just kind of give a little bit of a break from the same shape. Like so. So you see it's got a nice kind of flow, kind of feels like it's slowly coming down, curving. Bring this part of the mane so it's curving around. Just like so. Now this bit's going to be hidden quite by a bit, this sort of flower bit, but you know, it still wants to make sense, so you still want a nice bit of flow coming to that. So follow the same sense of direction, flowing behind it. So now we've got that, we come down to this Leo sign. So I'm going to create a curve, tap it, make a perfect circle, just like this. On the inside we want a Leo symbol, so it's going to curve around. It's going to loop up. Back down into a perfect circle like this. And once we sort of draw, I'm going to make it a bit thicker as well. So I'm going to create a secondary line, just come around it, just like so. So it's a bit bolder. Around the outside of the circle, I'm going to do little circles, about the same distance apart, all the way around. Just gives a nice effect to it. So, then on the inside, I'm going to create this little line, and every time I kind of get to the edge of the Leo symbol, I'm going to cut it away. So everything's sort of staying the same distance apart. So anytime we kind of get here, and this base joins, you kind of just leave that gap. And I'm going to loop around it like this. As we get to this top, these two sections meet. So I leave this kind of gap, and as it gets around here, continue it. And then you can put a little bit just on the inside, just a little loop. Just in there. I'm not going to do one in a circle though. That kind of breaks it up for me. This nice line shape is really building up. And then what I'm going to do, I want to get both these nice and symmetric, so I'm going to quickly click on here, click canvas, edit drawing guide, turn on symmetry tool, just put that center of that Leo symbol just there. And that's just going to draw both sides. It just makes it a bit easier and makes it nice and even. You know, if done on paper, don't worry about that, just draw both sides, it's not a major thing. So I'm going to draw two curves, come like this. So you've got a hollow shape in the middle. Get this to the top one, and create this curve out, come back quite high, then come to a point at the top. Curve out, curve down. I'm going to bring a little line just out on each one of these, just create a little bit of a stem. I'm going to create this curve, and I want to get a sense that they're kind of curving around each other, so it's going to come there, get this kind of curve shape. And I want them next to each other, so this one's going to come here. Curve there. And this one's going to come here, curve out here. This one's going to curve out. Around there. This one's going to curve just there. That one's going to curve just there. I'm not going to get too much of this bottom one, so this bottom I'm going to keep fairly close, just like that. And now we've got that done, I'm going to turn off that initial sketch work we've done. So what we have left now is that kind of nice outline we've done. So at this stage, you're drawing on paper, you can kind of bring your eraser out, just rub out the little bits you don't kind of need. And once at this stage, we're going to start going to a bit of shading. So I'm going to create another layer for this. I'm going to turn my transparency down to about, say, 30. If done on paper, just start being a bit more gentle with the pencil at this stage. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to start off with the center part of the face and work our way outwards. So I'm going to create this little line, just come here, just a bit higher from this bottom. I'm going to shade in this bottom part just like so. Come on this top bit, I'm going to create another bit just here. Another bit just there. A little bit just there. Remember, this bit here is going to be white, but this bit here, here, and the side bit is going to be a bit darker. So when I get to this top part here, I want to make a bit more kind of shadow. You know, I'm kind of use quite a bit of shadow to sort of almost colour in this section to make it different. So I'm going to mimic the shape, I'm going to leave just a little highlight this time on this side part just here. A bit similar on this bit. Bring that across a fair amount. And I'm bringing this shadow across like this. Taking up this whole section here fairly lightly. Then just come a little bit darker on the edges. Just there. But I'm putting that nice shade in there so it kind of gives a sense that it's darker than these bits. Now, very important, if you shade everything the same, it's all going to feel a bit flat. You want to make sure you have different kind of levels to your shading. So try and think, you know, in your head now, if you see colour, you know, like 1 second, you know, is the colour going to make that bit darker? You know, is it going to be lighter? You know, it's very important to always kind of think of these things. I'm going to bring this initial bit of shadow just here. And as we get underneath this, I'm going to bring in a bit more shadow. Just underneath there. So again, just making these bits appear much whiter than these parts. Come here, and for this one I'm going to make it a bit different, so I'm going to leave a little kind of white edge on the side. You know, where it's near traditional, it's just going to create this nice kind of sort of pattern feel. It's going to give a nice kind of effect to the design. You know, it's not a realistic sort of thing because you wouldn't necessarily get this and not the rest of it, but on something that's like near traditional, something like this really does work and really helps. So there's that nice little kind of white edge just around the outside bit, just in that section. Now you can use it in a few different sections if you want, but it's one of those ones where you want to use little and not too often. Similar to how I've done this bottom part of the mouth, I'm creating this little shadow just underneath the top part of this eyelid. I want to keep it very short, because I said I want this section to feel white. Now if I go too high, it's going to take away from that. So just a little shadow just underneath the eye. Do it on both sides. Just like so. The centre part here, I'm just going to bring the shadow going fairly dark from the inside bit, getting a bit lighter, but filling up that space, so kind of colouring in this section. Similar to this top part here, I'm going to put a shadow initially, and then when I come in, I'm going to make the corners and the edges darker so it feels separate from those other shapes. Like now, at the minute, it feels the same. This feels the same as this. It feels like the same section. I don't want that. So I'm going to come in this corner. I'm going to make this corner feel darker. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow just here to make that feel darker. And where I haven't done too much to create sort of the shape, the curve of this, because it's fairly flat, this section, I'm going to reinforce this outside section just here to give a sense of curvature. And that again is going to make it feel much different from that section. So you see now this bit feels different from this, which is what you want. You know, I'm trying to create layers with this. You know, the idea is these layers are going to sort of tell the story and make it really fun and interesting. You know, I don't want everything to kind of feel the same kind of level, the same tone. So again, I just put a nice shadow just over the top. And I'm coming in from these corners, and just putting this in here. Just like so. Curve around that top bit, so yeah. So you got a nice kind of top now. You see these bits feel much lighter, these feel much lighter. And it's going to kind of feel like that as we go around. So similar to the other side now, I'm going to put this shade in here. Underneath this part, it's going to go darker on that edge. And this section, I'm going to create that little kind of highlight section we done on the other side. Just leave that little highlight strip just down that side part, just there. This side part's going to be a shadow in there. This part here, we're going to go a bit of shadow across, create little highlights in the centre, and then pick up shading on the other side. Like so. So you see you've got dark on this side, light here, dark here. Similar to this bit, we're going to have dark on this outside edge. So I'm going to put this across here. And this outer edge. I'm going to come at a couple of angles. Like so. It's got a nice kind of sense as it curves out. That's the inside part of the mouth. Obviously the gum and the mouth's going to be much darker in areas. And it's very important again because you want to make it feel different to the rest, so by going a bit darker it will kind of give that illusion. It's going to go dark here. When we get these bits I want this to be very dark, so I'm going to press much harder on this area. I want to give that a second layer just coming across. Inside here you get a sense of a bit of tooth just in this bit, so I'm going to leave a little highlight just area just here. Not too much, just a little bit lighter than the dark area. But then carrying the darkness kind of around it. Especially kind of around this sort of tongue section just here. Just going to reinforce that shape, just curving up. Making it dark around the edge. We're also going to do a shadow on the tongue, so you get a sense of where the mouth kind of sort of drops onto it. But for now, I'm just putting in this nice dark shadow. You know, this will probably be the darkest part of the actual image as well, which again will make it really stand out. So it's going to come across here. I'm going to create this little loop, just kind of curving here. And from this line upwards is kind of where the shadow is going to be. So I'm going to put the shadow coming across that tongue, just there. You can put a few other little bits if you want, just kind of a little bit of tongue detail. Ain't got to go too crazy below. That sort of does the trick. I'm going to do his cheeks now on the side here, and very similar to the other side. I'm kind of been a bit symmetric with both of these, so a bit of shadow just here on the inside and the outside, and a little highlights in the middle. Bring this one up and just go darker on the edges, so then I get a sense of curve. Just like so. Let's see, most of the face is in there now. It's really kind of getting a nice kind of structure, shape to it, which is what we want. So I'm going to come down to the bottom part here now. We're going to do this mouth. So to start with, I'm going to bring a darker strip right across the bottom part. Just like so. And just fold out this top part and make another dark strip just come across here. And then I'm going to divide this up into little sections for highlights. So I'm going to create a little curve just around here. One just here. This one's going to kind of flick out and go to nothing, so it's going to be darker in the center. And then again, another little loop here, and I might divide it into a few little bits just here. And it just gives like a nice little highlight shine inside that lip. Just makes it feel a little bit kind of wet, which is what we want. Now underneath the chin bit just here, I'm going to create this little loop just coming down, just to kind of get a bit of character to this. And a little bit of shadow just here, just to break up from that chin bit. Just feels like a little bit too much white, so it sort of just breaks it up a touch. Going to put a little bit of shadow across the top, across the bottom of it. I don't want too much, because again I want this bit to feel fairly white compared to the outside areas of the mane. I think that'll do it for that part. So now when I come up, we're going to come up to the ear section. So I come up here. I want the outside part of the ear here to be like grey, so I'm going to bring this kind of grey tone coming across. It's going to come here and get a little bit lighter as we get towards this bit, but make sure you bring that shade across, because I still want it to feel like, a bit kind of grey or red, but coming across, because I want this bit to be highlighted, so I want this bit here to be darker, but kind of getting lighter as it gets to the edge. It doesn't make much sense because you should be darker here, but it gives a really nice negative kind of feel, which is, I don't know, it just kind of works. You wouldn't get the highlight in that bit, but on an image like this in the traditional, sometimes it really, really works to break that rule. I'm going to come onto this part of the hair, so where I've got each one of these sections, I'm just going to follow this direction like this. So just keep my hand motion just following that direction, and then come in from the other side, following the general direction of it as well. And then some areas I'm going to go a bit lighter, some I'm going to go a bit darker. Some I'm only going to come from one direction, like here. I might just come from this side and leave a highlight coming from that center bit. It's these differences that are going to really make this mane really interesting and really different. I want each little section to have its own kind of character. You still feel part of the overall image, but feel a bit different. So have the same flow, the same direction, but just make your shadows different in how they sit. It's one of those ones that really does take practice to kind of master and kind of get the way you want. Don't feel discouraged if it doesn't work the first time. But trust me, just keep doing it, and once you kind of get the hang of it, it's a really nice, really easy, really great way of doing hair and fur. It's worth taking the time and the stress to sort of learn it, because it's such a nice technique to have and to learn. So you see, just kind of build it up and just gives like a really nice structure and sense to it. I'm going to do this pretty much for all the kind of fur, just bring this around at the same kind of sort of technique. So sometimes from both sides, sometimes from one, some bits darker, some bits a bit lighter. Now you can sometimes have two of the same next to each other. I'm not saying they all have to be different. Like here you could have, say, like this one could be like this, and the second one could have the same technique, but then just make sure, say, the third one is different. I wouldn't say have more than, say, two of the same in one area. I feel it just takes away from it if it's got too much of the same thing. You can keep a pattern going. If you want to get the exact same number, you could always go, say 221 or something like that, where it's like 221, 221. It can sometimes be really cool when you have a set kind of pattern to it. But yeah, just play around with what works for you. It's one of those ones where just, as you play around with it, you'll kind of come up to deciding which ones you prefer and which ones you don't. But the only way to really get to it is to learn to just kind of play around with that technique. So don't be afraid of it, just give it a go. This one here's got a bit of a dip to it, so I'm going to sort of create this nice kind of curve following that shape. Now rather than try and hide that curve, I'm going to sort of like try and amplify it. That kind of got this nice little dip. And just keep building these out one by one. Now I just find this a really nice way now, because a lot of time people kind of get a bit worried about what to do with hair. You know, you can add so much character with just the hair alone on how you shade it. You know, and the shape of it. There's quite a few artists I follow which I literally just absolutely, you know, love the way they do hair. You know, sometimes I'm not really a fan of the rest of the work, you know, but you look at the hair and you're like, damn, it's just so cool how they've done that. But yeah, I mean, I always look to others for inspiration. Don't go stealing their sort of stuff and that, but you know, if you sort of look at it and you think, oh yeah, it's really cool how they've done this, you know, there's no reason why you can't sort of then try and convert that into your own kind of style and your own way of doing it. And I think everyone kind of gets the wrong idea. They kind of think to be original, they have to just do their own thing and nothing else. You know, everyone gets inspired by something. You know, don't go stealing stuff, you know, but feel free to be inspired. You know, kind of see something like the way you do this, think, oh no, that's really cool, you don't do it that way. You know, if I sort of maybe try doing it this way, where I sort of change the sort of shape of it, or, you know, I really like the way that sort of shade, I might try to apply that sort of type of shading to my kind of style. You know, or the way they've done that sort of line weight, you know, the really big bold line there, then a thin line on another section. You know, this is all stuff you can sort of take on board and sort of like really kind of carry through to your own thing. You know, there's no harm in that. You know, pretty much every artist in the world you look at, you know, like if you sort of familiar with your artists, you look at them and you think, oh yeah, that person's been inspired by this artist's been a really big influence. You know, and it's the same sort of thing. It's because they've been inspired, they kind of sort of like studied their work, you know, find out what they like and what they don't like, and yeah, kind of add that to their own stuff. I don't see nothing wrong with that. You know, if you do, then sort of, you know, you can always let me know on that. But like I said, I'm not advocating stealing people's work. Stealing people's work, you know, bang out of order. But inspiration is key to any artist. Everyone needs to be inspired to kind of get anywhere. You know, if you've got no fuel in the tank in your brain, you know, like, you know, you're never going to get anywhere. You know, an original thought is just not going to come out of nowhere. You know, you kind of need inspiration to get there. And the best inspiration is from people. I mean, that's my philosophy on it anyway. Anyway, I'm probably just babbling. I know you guys are here for the art, you know, not here for the philosophy. But I like to talk, you know, I don't know, I talk. I forget half the stuff I say, you know, a lot of time people sort of comment this and sort of say, oh, I love when you said that, and I'm thinking, oh, you know, what the hell did I say? I just say what comes into my head. You know, none of this is scripted, none of this is kind of pre-planned. I literally just make up everything as I go along. You know, I wing everything. You know, it makes it more fun for me. You know, I think these videos would like made me like really bored if I was just kind of reading from a script. Plus my video is a bit too long for that. God, I'll be there. I'll probably spend more time writing a script out than I would like ever doing the videos. Especially when I do like ones that are like, you know, an hour or so long. God, could you imagine trying to write an hour-long script every day? No, thank you. So yeah, completely off script, people. So if I say something that doesn't make sense, or if I talk gibberish or just say the wrong words, you know, that's why, you know, it's... Not everything I say is going to be the right word or the right thing, you know. I get tongue-tied a lot, so a lot of my words don't make sense. And sometimes I talk a little bit too quick and I think I'm saying the right thing when I'm not. But anyway, back to the artwork. So I'm just doing the exact same thing I just said. I'm just trying to give each little bit a nice kind of individual character. And we're just kind of going from that. You know, this ear, like the other ear, I want to make this outside bit kind of grey, so I want to add that sort of nice tone to it. And just a little heads up as well, if you're watching this, you know, make sure you guys give me a follow. You know, make sure you like the video. Liking this video really helps me dramatically. I don't think people realise how important likes are for YouTubers. You know, the more likes it gets, the more it gets seen, the more people this helps. You know, I don't get a lot of money for these, so I'd like to know that they are helping people. So the more people that see them, you know, the better it is for me. Because, you know, the more I like the fact that I know it's working, and the better it's people because they get to see it. So yeah, a like and a comment really does go a massive long way with these videos. You know, it's just part of the YouTube algorithm, it's just the way it works. You know, if something gets a lot of likes, a lot of comments, like, oh, this is a popular video, let's give this a boost. So yeah, that goes from like a couple of thousand views to suddenly like, you know, sort of 10, 20, 30, 100,000 views. None of my videos have got 1 million yet. God, I'd love to get like 1 million views, that'd be a nice one. So I know people watched it 1 million times and it's had like 1 million people. Or like 500,000 people 2 times, I guess. If people are rewatching it. You never really thought about it, yeah, if you get like 1 million views, it's not necessarily 1 million people, is it? It's If someone's rewatched that, say, if someone's rewatched it, say 2-3 times, then that's a lot less. Oh, that's probably going to really depress some YouTubers if they think that way. Not me, though. As long as it helps a few people, I'm good. So that main is coming down and it's really taking shape now. It's going to keep going section by section, just like I've been doing. Just building it up. Where I've done it symmetric, I've done a few lines over the thing. I'm going to raise a few of those lines. Trying to see stuff. So yeah, just on the way we've done that symmetric bit. Just going to raise a couple of these bits, just where we accidentally went over what we done. You know, 'cause we want these bits on show, so we don't want that stuff in the way. 360. Sorry if I spin this around too much. I know I tend to spin around a lot. It's just my way of drawing, and after I've been drawing for about 5-10 minutes, I just completely forget I'm doing it. You know, but I do try to make a point and have it sort of going in close so you guys can really see the detail. You know, it's much easier to see me doing this than it is to see me doing it like from this kind of height. So that's why I do that. We are getting there. Now, have a bit of patience with artwork, and you tend to realise a lot of stuff goes quicker than what you realise. You know, if you can get a nice kind of rhythm, a nice kind of motion, stuff can build up really quickly. You know, you kind of just got to get into the zone, into the shape of it. Just going to bring a little bit of shadow just in between these leafy sections. Just there. And come up this side now. Yeah, raise a little bit just there, I think. Let's keep this going. I don't know what it's about this sort of thing. I can do this all day. It's just once you get this kind of motion going, it's just really therapeutic. Therapeutic? That's the word. And what I said the first time, I then missed out a few vowels. Just keep it building up, just building up, just building up. Let's get this little gap in between just there, just there. A little bit of shadow just on those bits. It's going to go down to our layer just to raise that little bit we got there. Don't want that. Don't want those. Don't want that. Just keep throwing this in there. Just building it up. I think it's like the last little section, then the main's all done, I think. Got through that fairly quickly. Then again, I was keeping myself occupied by talking, I guess. Time flies by when you're having fun, talking to yourself. I would do this sort of stuff live, but currently at home, because we're in lockdown, I'm at home with the family, and yeah, trying to do like a video when there's a good chance that my kid might walk in or something like that. It's a bit kind of awkward to do live. So I'll probably put off doing live for a little bit. Unless there's a massive demand for it, then I'll see if I can try to set aside some time and stuff. And yeah. But let me know, would you like to see me go live? Would you like me to just join this way? What's more handy for you guys? What do you guys prefer? That is the question. So I like how this is going. It's getting a nice structure to it now. So I'm going to come down here, and now we're just going to get this much more neater in this section. So I'm going to turn that up. Let's get this nice Leo symbol nice and bold first, and then we can kind of get everything going nicely around it. Erase the little bits we don't need. So yeah, it's pretty much just that curve going into the circle bit at the bottom. Just like that. And then I'm just going to get a little eraser, just rub out those bits we don't need. Pretty much any kind of line we sort of just overshot a little bit, you know, just make it a little bit neater. Like so. And once we've done that, I'm going to put a bit of shadow just over the whole thing. So I'm just going to go, oops, turn that opacity down again to about 30. Just going to go over everything to begin with. Just keep this motion, just keep it nice and tight. Now you can use other brushes. I'm literally just sticking with this brush. I like using a technical pencil. It just kind of makes it like I'm drawing on paper. And if drawing on paper, it's just easy to follow, I guess, because there's no messing around with other kind of brushes and stuff. And once I get that done, these little sections on the inside parts just here, I'm just going to go with these and make these a tiny bit darker. Just make that a bit neater because that can be a little bit off. So just keep that same motion going for the whole of it. Just like that, just like that. This bottom one in there. And there we have it, people. That is how you draw a Leo line design. Hope you like it. You know, it's been a fun one to draw up. You know, if you like this sort of style, this sort of sketching style more, let me know. You know, it's always trying to work out what you guys want to see more. If you want to see more of the sketching stuff, more of the colour stuff, you know, more of the stuff on paper, you know, just let me know. You know, whatever you kind of ask for most is what I'm going to be going to try and do for you guys. Yeah, make sure you give it a like, you know, comment and stuff, you know, subscribe. You know, it makes a massive difference. And all it takes is a little click, just a little button, just down here somewhere on the bottom bit. I'm not too sure where it is, somewhere around here. Just click like, you know, just click subscribe. And yeah, that pretty much do it, people. I hope that helps. I'm the Broken Puppet, and I'll see you next time. Peace.